Hi, this is the third podcast of the series Student Speaks. Now, why we do this? Because we want other students to know how to grow, how they can use our students' experiences and apply in their professional life. During the journey of K11 for over 21 years, I have come across, more than 20,000 students. And then there are certain students who leave mark on the institute as well. So one of them is with us today, and as much as he's learned from K11 has learned from him a lot of things, which we will talk during the podcast. So I am going to welcome Omkar Chincholkar on this podcast.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's an absolute privilege to be on this podcast. And whenever it comes to K11, being a part of K11 in any capacity is an absolute pleasure. And just love to be a part of K11. And I always say that I'm a student for life.
Yes.
And I'm always a student of K11. So thank you so much for having me.
I'm so glad. We've been planning this since so many days, and it just didn't happen. And I'm very happy to have you here, and it's going to be a very emotional podcast for me because I know the connect that you had with Kaizzad and the kind of notes you have taken and the kind of things you have done, show and express your love towards him. That is going to be maybe getting me a little teary eyed, so please excuse me for that. I know that your journey with K11 is, I think, more than 11 years now.
Yes.
Okay.
12 years.
12 years. See, I'm right at it. So even if without knowing or checking the date of registration, I know how many years you are with K11. So I wanted to know, what was your first touch point to K11? How and when did you exactly hear about K11 or Kaizzad? Because normally people used to hear Kaizzad first and then K11. So I would like to know from you.
So I actually did not hear about Kaizzad sir first.
Okay.
But I heard about K11 first.
Okay.
And before that, I would just like to touch upon the topic about the industry in general, the fitness industry. So usually when I came to K11 and when I started attending the course, I saw that a lot of my batchmates were already in the fitness industry working as trainers or some other capacity, and then they enrolled for the course. But for me, my exposure to fitness was nothing, absolutely nothing. In school, in college.
So you were not a sports person in your school, college at all?
So in school, the first time when I got some exposure to fitness was when I enrolled for the NCC or National Cadet Corps. So in that, of course, they used to make us run, do push-ups, do squats, rolls, front rolls and everything. And when I went for the first camp, which was the state level camp in NCC, that was when we were rigorously trained for those 8-10 days. So that was the time where I actually got exposed a little bit towards sports, and then I started playing football, this and that, but never had any idea about doing this professionally. I come from a very typical middle class Maharashtrian family. All my kakas and mamas are either engineers or doctors.
Or lawyers.
And most of them are engineers.
Okay.
So going to the US, studying engineering, going to the US and getting a job, that was my dream when I just passed school in 10th. And studying was something which I really loved since the beginning.
Okay.
My mom, she was into trekking a lot.
Oh, really?
So she used to
I'm a trekker too.
Yeah, yeah. So she actually adores and admires you and your profile and everything, all the adventure sport that you have in your life. And she was married to my stepfather, who was in the sport of bodybuilding.
Right.
So he was a bodybuilder, and that is how she got introduced to the fitness industry.
Correct.
Then she did the K11 personal trainers course in 2007.
Oh wow! She must be one of the few batches when we started Pune. So
I think she was the first in the first batch,
because we started Pune towards December 2006. So
correct.
She must be in first batch.
Correct. Either the first or the second batch. Yeah. And she had attended Kaizzad sir's lecture first, and then she decided to enroll for the course.
So that used to be called an orientation lecture.
Correct.
That we used to conduct for all our prospects.
Correct.
And then Kaizzad would go and talk a lot about fitness.
Yes.
And it was giving, just dispensing information. There was no selling in that, So what I remember, and half of the people, who used to come for attending that, he used to get so shocked with the kind of information he used to dispense that, without any question, just what is your fee and build a career, and that's all.
Right. Yeah. So, and she was behind me when I was in 7th standard in 2007
Okay.
to come for the orientation lecture.
You were in 7th standard.
I was in 7th standard. And she was like that, I'm going for this lecture, you have to come. And I think so at that time playing with my friends was more important to me, and I missed it.
What do you expect from a guy who's in 7th standard?
Yeah, so I missed it. But in 2012 she started a small gym
Achha.
called as Hardline Gym in Pimpri Chinchwad. So she started that, and that was my first exposure to the fitness industry in general.
So you started working out in that gym?
I started working out in that gym, and I started working with her to make graphic designs for the gym.
Okay.
So the gym logo was designed by me, or setting up the email accounts, all the technical stuff I started doing. That is how I actually started getting more and more involved in this industry as a whole. I had no idea what it is. I absolutely had no idea what is the meaning of a gym manager, a gym trainer, this, that, nothing. I just started working there with her to help her, like an assistant.
Yeah.
And she mentioned, so this happened when I was in 2012 in my college.
Okay.
I enrolled for engineering. I started studying electronics engineering. That is when she mentioned that if you want pocket money, you better earn it yourself.
Wow.
I am not going to give it.
that's a good way to push you to do something on your own.
And she gave me an opportunity to see. She said that, we don't have a nutritionist in the gym, and people need diet plans. And you know what, you should do this nutrition course. It will be over in 6 months, because it was a weekend only batch.
Yes.
And after that you can start earning, and whatever you earn from the gym from nutrition, you keep it as pocket money. I said, okay, this is Sunday to Sunday, so why not? That is how I came to K11.
Okay.
This was on Ferguson College, FC Road.
First
on the third
branch.
floor. Correct. On that. And before that I had started working out, and I had read the Modern Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding by Arnold. And in that he had given a lot of exercises, and one day one muscle was a very typical concept which I was training for. When I started, when I came in for the first lecture, it was conducted by Mayur sir.
Really?
Yes.
In HPN? That time it was called Certified
SNC.
Nutrition Course. SNC, yeah.
Yeah, Sports Nutrition Course.
Yeah.
Correct. I was in batch number 23.
Okay.
So, the first lecture was conducted by Mayur sir.
Introduction to GPP?
Introduction to GPP was the first lecture. And in that, Mayur sir asked a question to everyone, that out of all of you, how many of you are training or exercising?
Right.
Everyone raised their hands. And 90% of the students who were sitting in that particular classroom had done the personal trainer's course before. And sports nutrition course was the second course that they were doing from K11. For me, it was the sports nutrition course first, and then I enrolled for the PT later. So I had no idea about exercise selection criteria. I had no idea about form and technique being so vital and important in training. So when sir asked, I raised my hand, and sir was asking what kind of workouts do you do. Generally he was asking 5 minutes before the lecture started. That was when I said, one day one muscle. Very loudly I said. I thought I have read it in Arnold's book. And
so it has to be correct if it's one motion.
Correct. And to my surprise, what happened was, a few people laughed, of course, listening to that.
Me.
No. But Mayur sir did not laugh. And Mayur sir, what he said is, that's great that you are doing that, but there is a better way, and it will be covered in the exercise science related lectures. There is a push-pull leg pattern and protocol of lifting, so that will be covered later. And then after the lecture, he explained me the whole thing, and he also mentioned that this will be covered. That was the moment when I fell in love with K11. Because in engineering, what used to happen, whenever we asked doubts to teachers, they would ridicule us.
Really?
Absolutely.
I'm getting goosebumps with that statement of yours where you're explaining that when you fell in love.
They used to ridicule us because in engineering everything was around completing assignments and those big fat files. And
so they don't care whether you you have absorbed what you've learned or
No.
not. Just put it on the paper and submit.
Correct. And worst part is that at the end of the year, we used to see those files being thrown from the 4th floor down, where that whole portion was called as Raddi portion.
Ayyo.
So I used to see that, and I was very much adapted to that after doing first year in the engineering. So I saw a stark difference between the way
Teaching
of teaching,
philosophies.
everything. And another thing which I really liked about K11 was the culture which was being built. I did not understand these words, culture and everything back then, but when I was studying engineering, after every lecture, whenever we got 5 minutes, 10 minutes, we would talk about movies, we would talk about where can we bunk and go. And I was in AISSMS College of Engineering, so Woman Cafe was very close to us. So when can we go there? When can we go to Inox? In K11, what used to happen is between lectures, these weekend lectures, there was a 1 hour break.
Right.
So 3 hour lecture,
Lunch break.
then a lunch break. But in the entire lunch break, everyone in the classroom would be talking about which whey protein are you having, or which BCAA supplement are you having, what is your, how many proteins are you having, what's your workout routine. So everyone would be talking about that same subject. So then I understood that, okay, everyone is so passionate about this particular course and this K11 and what they're teaching. So that is when I said that no boss, isme to maza aa raha hai. And the next month I enrolled for the PT course, personal trainers course. After that,
what I remember is in this cabin, I think, if I'm not wrong, in this cabin, you and your mom had come to meet Kaizzad.
that was Pune
cabin.
school.
Okay, sorry. And I remember Kaizzad narrating to me after meeting you and your mom, saying, about whole the conversation between you and him, and he was asking you to complete the engineering first or something like that. So I thought your mom was not in favor of you completing the personal training course. So what was that about? Because if your mom had done the course, if she had asked you to do the HPN course, then why that meeting had happened between you, sir, and mom?
So this had happened in Pune, and I'll give a little bit of backstory for that. So when I started doing the course in 2014, one unfortunate thing happened in our family.
Okay.
Or now I might say it was very, very fortunate.
Okay.
Because my mom's friend, she did a big fraud with her in business.
Oh my God.
She conned her, and in that,
in the gym business?
not in the gym business,
Okay. So,
in another business.
okay.
And in that business, on paper, everywhere it was my mom's name, and all the money was taken away by her, and she ran away. Now, in this, what happened was that my grandfather, whatever he had earned, he was 72 at this stage. My mom was in her 40s. We lost everything. And by everything, I mean every single thing. So we had to sell our own house, and then we requested the buyer that we want to stay in the same house on rent. So we were paying rent on the same house. Lost gold, whatever my grandmother had collected. Lost money, lost everything. When this was happening, my stepfather was a very, very abusive person, both physically, mentally. So that was going on, and I come from the open category, so there is no concession in fees.
Yes.
So in engineering, I had to pay 1 lakh rupees of fees
For a year.
for a year.
Or one semester.
Correct. So what happened is, first year of engineering, when that ended, I started working as a trainer in Hfit Fitness.
With in Hfit Fitness Club
Pune.
Okay.
Yes, I started working as a trainer there part-time. And the first salary, I still have that first check, Xerox of that first check, that was from Yes Bank. That was some 3,500 rupees for a part-time.
Part-time, yeah, of course.
So I started doing that part-time, somehow to earn money. And engineering was the last thing on my mind, because we can't pay that 1 lakh rupees. So I wrote a letter to the university stating that I want a 1 year break from engineering, and I will resume the year later. So I took a 1 year break, and then I started working part-time first I started working, and then it converted to full-time. So actually what happened was my career did not start from zero. It actually started from minus, because there was an EMI to be paid, and if we did not pay it, we were done. There would have been a big problem. Every month it had to be paid. So I think so that pressure, because of that pressure, I really had to do a lot of things right, and I had to make money very early. I was 19, I remember, when this happened, and since the age of 19 to 24, I have not taken a single day off in my working.
So 19 to 24, you've been working as a trainer?
Yes,
or
both. As a trainer and a nutritionist.
Nutritionist, okay.
So first I started working as a nutritionist in our own gym. I still remember the first money that I earned as a nutritionist was by giving a diet plan on the engineering assignment sheet that was for some 300 rupees. And the first personal training that I took, who has now become a very dear friend of mine and a K11 student also, Anurag Aude Munune.
Oh, I thought it was Gangwal.
No.
Dr. Gangwal was
No. So I was in Chinchwad, so I trained him. So he was the first.
So you were in Five Fitness Club Chinchwad branch?
No. So I was there in Pune branch.
Okay.
But I used to train there in the evenings, and during the day I was in Hardline gym.
Okay.
So it was a mixed thing. So for that 1 year, it was just doing a lot of work, and then seeing how can I make up to pay this EMI, and how can I pay for my fees in college.
Correct.
When things turned around was one of my friends, his name is Pratik Gowde, who is now a lawyer. He's a great lawyer now. So he and I met in his parking lot.
Okay.
And that is where, and he was quite overweight, on the overweight category.
I like how you use the right word.
Yeah. So, and he wanted to lose fat.
Correct.
And I gave him an offer saying that, you know what, I will train you for 3,500 per month, 4 sessions per week, that is 16 sessions of personal training. Nutrition will be handled by me. In 3 months, if you don't transform, the money is back. I'll give you your money back. And he said, okay, why not? If you have so much confidence, then why not? He phenomenally transformed. Where his body fat percentage must be around 28%, which now dropped to around 12%.
12%?
Yes.
So he got into that chiseled shape?
Yes. And I'll share the photos also.
Yeah, please. We want to
because he posted this on Facebook, and that Facebook post turned around my career.
Personal training career.
Yes. Because that day I had 2 customers. Pratik shared it, and next day I get around 20 calls, and people wanted to train.
The power of referral.
Absolutely, power of referral. And all of these were his friends, because back then there was no social media marketing. He just posted it, and people saw it, and people wanted to train. So I was earning somewhere around 12,000 rupees today total. And when I got these personal training members, I directly got 16 members in one day. So I went from 12,000 to
50,000?
Around 50 to 60,000 in a day.
Wow.
But that wasn't just a day, that was training Pratik for so long. So that happened.
You invested the time in him, which paid off. So that's the return on investment, right?
So that is where I started, then went back to engineering, started my engineering college. Now what happened is, in first year of my engineering college, my attendance was 8% only. And engineering, I mean, all of the engineers who are watching this, attendance is not a big deal. People bunk engineering college, which is a very regular thing. In my second year of engineering, came the HOD of our department, and I mean, he was a crazy person. He knew that my career is aligned in fitness. He knew everything, what I'm going through financially. Yet, he gave me a threat of detention when my attendance was 68%.
But what for?
He said that if it is not 75%, you would be detained. You have to maintain 75% attendance, or we will detain.
But did other students also maintain 75%?
Yes, everyone maintained because he was very, very strict. Now, I did not mind attending engineering college. I like physics, I like maths. But the problem is that if you get detained, you have to pay the fees again.
Really?
Yes. So if you get detained, you just don't sit back for 1 year. They fail you, but you have to repay the fees. That was the thing which haunted me the most, because I did not have money to. One fees only somehow I paid.
Collected and paid.
So cried a lot in front of him. In my entire school career, my parents never had to come to the college, and my grandfather had to come to engineering college, and my grandfather came in the cabin, and he actually scolded the HOD, saying that this guy who is sitting here, he is 19 years old, he is an adult. He is 20, I was 20 then, he is 20 years old, he is an adult, he can make choices for his own life. Then why are you calling parents for this? You directly talk to him. And you want to detain him, you detain him.
Actually, that is a good thing to do.
Yeah. So then somehow did a lot of pleading requests, went to the principal's office, this, that. And then they said, okay, 68-69% is okay, and we will push you off in the third year. By the way, my exams and everything was clear. I had no problem in exams. I would study 1 or 2 days before the exam and clear it off, because in engineering it is all about getting 40 marks, not 100.
Really?
Yeah, and it is amazing that in college everyone's target is 90%, but in engineering everyone's target only becomes 40, because everyone just wants to pass. That is how it is. So coming back to fitness.
Coming back to that meeting,
yeah.
I want to know why then your mom had to come with you to meet Kaizzad, and Kaizzad has to tell you to complete the engineering, because I remember that incident very clearly.
Yeah. So first meeting was not actually with Kaizzad sir.
Okay.
First meeting was with Mayur sir. And Mayur sir, he started laughing loudly.
Achha, Mayur is Mayur Sabnis, who is a director and actually education director in K11, who takes care of all the education related work in K11 with all the HODs that we have.
So Mayur sir said I am the wrong person to ask this question to, because I myself have left engineering and I came into this, so I will not give you that advice, so you better meet Kaizzad sir. So that is when we met, and I asked for that meeting with Kaizzad sir. I was very persistent to take that meeting, because I said that a person who is so passionate about the fitness industry, he will definitely tell my mom ki let this guy do fitness, do his career in fitness, and let him not do engineering.
Oh, okay.
I thought that way. So I was so adamant, because I wanted to just leave engineering. I knew that my career is not in that, and I used to regret sitting in that college for 8 hours doing nothing.
Correct.
Then I went to Kaizzad sir with my mom. I told my whole story. She told that we have paid for 3 years and it is only 1 year now that's left. He needs to. And Kaizzad sir turned around and said, complete your engineering. And that is when he said that no knowledge goes waste.
Yes.
So I said, okay, now if Kaizzad sir has said it, have to do that. That is when I decided to continue my engineering and then complete it.
Yeah. But I'll tell you one thing. So a lot of students used to come to Kaizzad with their parents, thinking Kaizzad would say,
correct,
complete the don't bother completing the graduation. But Kaizzad would always say ki complete the graduation first. As you said, no knowledge goes waste, and the degree always comes handy.
Correct.
Whenever you require.
Correct. One more motivation for me to complete engineering was also that my life partner Divita, I met her in engineering college only, so she also was studying engineering, and then the question was that how do I marry her if
I'm not an engineer?
What about family? So and of course,
I mean her family.
With her family, with my family, everyone was really surprised that I was a trainer, because back then being a trainer was seen as in that Pahalwan category.
Yeah.
Kushti, Dangal.
It was a little better than when I became a trainer.
Right.
Yeah, so
right.
We little bit progressed.
Now it's a very respected and
prestigious career because
absolutely. Yeah. So that happened, and this I would like to mention that second year, third year, and fourth year of my engineering was only and only work. Day in, day out, Monday to Sunday. No days off. It was only work, because I had to make that money for the EMIs of the family, and to take care of the family also.
course.
So really no days off. I lost a lot of friends in engineering because I would never go to Goa or Mahabaleshwar or this or that. And I still remember the day used to start at 5 in the morning till 8:30. 8:30 I used to finish all my PTs, morning personal trainings. One of the members who was my member back then, Dr. Patil, is still our member. So I used to change my clothes in his gym only, wear my uniform, college uniform, go to college. 8:30 to 4 p.m. was college, and at 4 p.m. I used to sprint towards railway station because at 4:10 exactly was my train back.
Back to Pune.
Back from Pune to Chinchwad.
Acha, Pune.
It was around 16 kilometers, a 20-minute train ride. Come back home, eat whatever is made at home, poha, upma, whatever. Sometimes no food. Go back to the gym. Start training people at around 5 in the evening till 10:30.
So when you say training, you were taking personal training.
I was taking
completely.
personal training.
You
And
were fully personal trainer that time, not
Yes.
the floor trainer.
no. So this was not with 5 Fitness then.
Hmm.
After transforming Pratik and after getting all these leads, then I started training as a freelancer. So finance pressure was there, college pressure was there. I was only 42 kilos, so no one would really look at me as a trainer back then. That pressure was there. My family, being as I said, a vegetarian Maharashtrian family, was completely against me eating eggs and chicken and this initially. Then they agreed.
I can relate.
Yeah. And when I used to go to the gym to train people in the evening, used to be my stepfather's gym,
Oh.
where he was again extremely abusive. When I used to train people, he used to make comments from behind. He used to make tingle udvayache.
I know.
He used to do a lot of crazy things, and that was constantly impacting.
But why
me.
didn't you change the gym?
I did not understand changing the gym. I thought that if I change the gym, whatever 4,500 fees I'm charging to my customers,
You wouldn't
some
get
part
that.
I will have to give it there. 20-30%.
Alright, that's also true. That is a
Correct.
very valid point. So
Correct.
you
So
would
to
lose
save
out
on that,
lose
Yeah.
out on that income.
Correct. And then one fear was there at that time. Later that fear went away. But one fear was that if I increase my fees, what if all these people leave me? Because confidence was low at that time, that point of time.
But situational, so that was a situation that you were in, and you
Yes.
had you had so much of pressure that increasing the rates would have been a difficult decision for you. I understand that completely, because if you lose that client, you have no money to pay the EMI
Correct.
or take care of the family.
And actually one of my members, he was the one who came to me and recommended me that, you know what, Omkar, you should charge more. And then I started charging more, and everyone paid.
So you first started charging 3,500.
Then I went to 4,500.
What was the next slab that you went to?
Then I went from 4,500 to 7,000
Perfect.
per member, and from 7 I went to 12. But everyone was sticking, so no one left. When I went from 4.5 to 7k, no one left.
Correct.
And the trainings continued, everything continued. Now was another turn which came in my career, which was when I first attended Kaizzad sir's lecture. This was a lecture that he was taking on the topic of nutrition.
In which batch?
This was one of nutrition lecture that
Okay.
he was conducting
Okay.
in the SNC course. And by the way, I have attended the SNC course 3 times.
I was just going to ask you, because see, if you come to Kaizzad's lecture in a SNC course, means these must be the batches that are in the later years, right?
Correct. This was 2017, 2016-17,
Right.
when he started reading about fats
Protein.
and the fats as an energy source, and then he started taking lectures on that, and those long lectures. So I've done or redone the SNC course, nutrition course 3 times, the personal trainers course 2 times, and the special populations course also I did it twice. I used to resit because I used to get so much to learn from that. That when I started attending those lectures, so I was like a sponge.
Yeah, I know that. I'm going
Yeah.
to show something little later.
Yeah,
So-
I used to just absorb whatever sir is saying, and my English was very, very bad in school, because I come from I was
Did
studied
you
in a
study
government
in
school.
vernacular medium?
No,
Right.
it was English medium, but a government school where no one spoke.
So it's vernacular.
Yeah, it's vernacular. And very typical mix of Marathi medium and English medium. I could write English, but I could not speak
English.
in
I actually relate to you because I had that science and maths in English, rest of the subjects and English in English, and rest of the subjects in Marathi. तर मला कॉन्फिडन्सच नव्हता बोलताना. And Mayur sir, Lata Rajan, if you know, she works with K11 and Kaizzad, actually gave me the confidence to speak English, so I can actually relate to. So when I did Kaizzad's means LM course, when Kaizzad I used to write down everything, okay, and suppose if I didn't understand anything, I would go, and तेव्हा Google नव्हतं ना, so I would go back home, pull out the dictionary, find the word and write the meaning there in Marathi. So for my understanding.
Okay. So when I started listening to Kaizzad sir, I would be extremely attentive, not because I wanted to be,
but because
he commanded that.
But didn't you find certain words of him difficult to understand initially?
Yes, I did because his vocabulary
was
vast.
Fantastic.
He was an amazing orator, so he would hold people's attention no matter how many people are sitting there, and for 10 hours. So when he used to talk, I used to just be, but you know what, even if the vocabulary or these words were difficult to understand, when he used to speak those in a certain sentence, you would get the meaning
of it.
The meaning you would understand. Then I would go back home and see what is the meaning. Correct. That, and I started listening to a lot of Eminem rap. Eminem,
because it's fast.
Eminem is one of the fastest rappers, and what I used to do is I used to open his lyrics on my computer screen, listen to the rap, and then try to rap along with it. That is how I learned how to speak in English, because otherwise I could not speak in English at all. It was very difficult for me. I used to always speak in Marathi or Hindi in my head, then translate it to English. And then the sentence would come.
And it will actually used to change the meaning sometimes.
Correct. Yeah, that also happens many times. And so this happened, and that is how slowly and steadily the career started building. After attending Kaizzad sir's lecture on nutrition, that is when I started giving out nutrition consultations.
Oh, so what were you doing earlier? Just writing
only
diet
personal
charts?
Training.
No, but you had done the HB.
Write a diet chart based on the calculation of lean body mass, based on calculation of how much protein, carbs. And when I did the sports nutrition course first, it was all carb dominant, using carbohydrates as a protein sparing effect and all of that. So I used to take serious mass, which was 1:5 weight mass gainer, right? So that was how it was initially. But later, as I started attending more lectures, I started understanding more. That is when I started nutrition counseling, and that is how I started earning a lot on Sundays. The Sundays full day would be nutrition counseling. Monday to Saturday would be personal.
And your clientele that time would come still from the referrals, or your clients you used to consult for nutrition?
Yes, they still do come from referrals only.
That I'm going to talk a little later, so don't get into that, because I have a pertinent question to ask you. So Omkar, you did first the nutrition course, then you did the personal training course. So while nutrition course, when you had that first or second lecture, you understood the importance of doing the personal training. So you did personal training. When did you feel it's important for you to do the personal trainer course for special population? And also give a little briefing about what's that course is. So being from students' point of view.
So first thing was that when it comes to the fitness industry, as I mentioned, I did not look anything like a fitness trainer at the body weight of 42 kilos. So it was very difficult for me to create that first impression. That is where I understood that I either have to demonstrate the exercise or I have to explain them certain concepts. And the more knowledge I had or the better examples I had, I could counsel them better. And then they would only ask me that they wanted to do personal training with me, or they would immediately pay the fees, or they would not bargain.
Thanks.
So very early on I understood the importance of knowledge. And the more lectures I attended in K11, I started using everything in those lectures as tools to train people. All the examples that were given by every lecturer, some humor element that was added, which example to give, whether it is an automobile example or example related to nature, or when to speak about a certain muscle name.
Can you give me a few examples?
Yeah, sure. So, for example, when we talk about the 5 components of fitness, every time, whenever any lecturer used to speak about this, that we need to have there are 5 components of fitness to be generally physically prepared. There was an attached example about an automobile where all the parts need to work in sync.
Correct.
That is when you can have maximum
Output and performance.
Correct. When we spoke about levers, class 1, type 3, type 1, type 2, type 3, and there were examples of the wheelbarrow or seesaw. That is where we realized the power of these examples attached.
Your engineering knowledge would have come handy to understand those levers easily.
Absolutely. We used to draw force diagrams, vector diagrams. That all came in handy because in engineering, and I absolutely enjoy physics. I love physics even now. So whatever physics we learned, that we helped. Now in the special populations course, there was one intro lecture which was taken.
By?
I think so this was by Dr. Anandam. And then I realized that, and back then it was called special population because special means few. So people who were injured or people who had some metabolic conditions or musculoskeletal conditions were very few. But over the years that actually started increasing again.
Yeah.
And I said that whatever knowledge I can get from K11, I have to grab it. I have to put it in my arsenal, like my ammo. Because if I am going to war every day, when I have to do war
with those.
Correct. Not just with that. Training a member is war. In my mind. And I have to have all ammo loaded. My shotgun should be loaded, the tank should be loaded with missiles, everything should be loaded. Because no matter what question the client or the member would ask, I need to have an answer.
Have you been ever in condition where you haven't answered your client's question?
Many times.
So you
I still do that.
research and gone back.
So even that I learned from K11. That if you do not know the answer to something, just say no. And there is no shame in saying no.
Correct.
But you get back to that.
I'll tell you why I asked this question, because when I was working as a trainer in Talwalkar first, and then I joined Kaizzad as a trainer and he was a manager. A lot of times I have heard, especially in my first employment, they will say do it because I am saying so. So there was no reasoning given for any question that. So I used to ask the trainer actually, but इसका reason बताओ मुझे जानना है कि आपको उसने question पूछा. And they wouldn't know the reason. Then I would call Kaizzad, and that time there was no mobile. So I would go to the payphone and call at his home 10 times to get him on the phone to get the answer. It happened with you. How did you handle, and what was your time span to get back to your client?
So when it happened to me, usually people used to ask the question, let's say someone asked about ACL, the anterior cruciate ligament. And if I did not know the answer to that, I would sit at night because that was the only time that I had.
You went Google.
For Google, I extensively used the internet, but I used to sit at night or then jump into the notes.
Right.
In my office, even today, I have the personal trainer's manual, which I sometimes keep on my desk, and I have this thing of randomly opening a page and then just going through it. Because what happens is, and this I actually listened to or heard on Huberman podcast, where if you want to improve your learning, you have to create some repetition in that learning.
Correct.
Where you revise and then you revise and then you revise. Because you can never remember everything.
Correct.
So it is always better to remember or revise that. Even today, when I have to deliver seminars in corporates on any topic, nutrition, exercise, I have one full playlist ready on YouTube with Kaizzad sir's lectures. Whatever is available on the internet, I have it.
So this is a project that actually I'm going to get you looped in, and somebody, there is one more person that I haven't spoken to him, so I am not taking him anything, and create a Kaizzad's list, kind of podcast, or it's not a podcast, sorry, but kind of a YouTube list or somewhere where it's available to students. So would you reminded me of that?
Also, one more thing that always used to happen in sir's lectures, mainly nutrition lectures, the reason why I attended this particular nutrition lecture, I think so I must have attended it 10 times. 7 times in Pune, 3 times in Mumbai. Actually 2 times in Mumbai and once in Delhi.
But what's that? You travel there, or
I
was that
travel.
online that time?
The minute I understood that sir is lecturing somewhere, I would travel.
No, but that time we hadn't gone on.
No. This was
It was offline.
2016, 17.
So it's offline.
It was offline, always offline. One was at the ATP seminar in Ahmedabad. Correct. So everywhere I would get a chance, I would attend that. Reason being that sir's lecture format would be similar every time, but everything would change in Q&A.
Yes.
In Q&A, he would get so many different questions, and the way in which he would answer that using so many different examples was just music to my ears.
Yeah, true.
And one thing I got to learn from engineering was how to write fast. And when in engineering we had to write assignments, we had to look at the assignment there and write here. So even today I can write in a perfect straight line. So in Master Trainer's course also, sir used to look at me and he used to talk. And I would be looking at him and I would write.
Can I get those books there?
So many times he would come to the notebook and check whether I've written straight on.
So these are the notes that Omkar. Now you can't see or read anything, but you can see how straight the line is. And Kaizzad and Mayur would always talk about these notes. He would say, Omkar's notes I want. So I said, why do you want Omkar's notes? So he said, no, he's written down everything that Kaizzad had spoken and I want that. And he was so possessive about Kaizzad that he is so possessive about Kaizzad's knowledge, because what Mayur did is Mayur absorbed everything but never written it down. So he used to say that quality Omkar has. So from that point, I've been wanting to see your notes, which I have got today. Now that we are on that point, can I get those blanks also? Because I see Iron Man here, and I see Iron Man here, and there is one more plank that now I know I'm just asking. This plank was made by Omkar for Kaizzad, and you can see Iron Man here also. And Iron Man was Kaizzad's most favorite superhero, so I had got him a lot of stuff of Iron Man, like a lot of stuff, t-shirts, then his bed sheets, and many things, and then Bumblebee because of his bike. But can you explain me the logic of making this plank for Kaizzad? I know I'm randomly bringing this up, but
so this again I had made. This was pre-Master Trainer's course.
Okay.
This was not after the Master Trainer's course. This was actually after I attended his nutrition course. And just like we have 5 components of fitness, I made this called as 5 components of the Grandmaster. Grandmaster because he was creating Master Trainers.
Correct.
But Master of Master Trainers is Grandmaster.
Yes.
So one component was definitely curiosity. And one of the most curious minds is Einstein.
Yes.
And sir used to give a lot of his examples in his lectures also.
A lot.
So I saw that quality in sir. Second was strength. We all saw his, he used to upload a lot on Facebook.
Yeah.
His shrugs and deadlifts.
So I've been lucky enough to be at his heaviest lifts.
Correct.
So, and there was a time that I have trained alone with him, and he's picked up heavy weight, but he never doubted my capacities to be with him as, his training partner. So that also is a kind of a strength that he always projected.
No, absolutely. So that was for curiosity and strength.
One question I have, okay, and because House is there,
Dr.
I can
House.
see Dr. House, and I've seen that series with him like numerous times. I still do watch him whenever I always think about him, but there are days that you want to hear what Kaizzad would say, and then you go and watch House. So why House?
So that is because of the intelligence factor.
Okay.
Because I think so, of course, House was also curious, but when it came to connecting the dots, when it came to diagnosing a certain problem and the real problem, where the other doctors used to go by the book, but then House would come in and then he would say that no, this is not the problem, but that is. That we saw a lot of times when sir used to understand what is the real problem and diagnose the real problem. And we all know that he was absolutely intelligent. I mean, there is no doubt in that. So that is why the intelligence factor.
Correct.
And I mean, some people take it the wrong way, but I think and I feel that there is also one subtle arrogance that House had.
Oh, he had subtle?
No, I mean, House had a lot of arrogance and he would hurt people, but when it came to Sir's way of teaching or style of teaching, to explain the point or to make the student understand that point, he would sometimes take that route and teach him that way, where he would never insult the student, but he would then explain that situation, that what would happen if, so that was absolutely great.
Because when you got this plank, the first thing Kaizzad was kicked about is house is there.
Yeah. And he's holding a brain also in that. Then ketones is very obvious. That is one of the component which was his energy fuel. And then last is Rocky Balboa, where Rocky's trainer, he has played Mickey. He has played a huge role in correcting Rocky. So you see this one scene where Rocky Balboa is skipping and training for his boxing match, and then two girls come. And these two girls start admiring him and talking to him, and Rocky starts talking back to them. And this Mick comes and he shouts at them, "Get the hell out of here!" So he is always removing distractions from Rocky's path, and that is what Sir has done, not just for me but for so many students, people. And Sir always said that you will see this as a painful thing, where every time I will come and I will say that, hey, this is wrong, that is wrong. In Hindi we call it tokna, kisi ko tokna. So Sir would say that if you find me irritating, just tell me and I will stop. But if you don't find me irritating when I am doing that, I will continue doing it.
So I do that now. So because I think it's my moral responsibility towards Kaizzad and K11. So मैं Kaizzad के style में ही बोलती हूँ. So if I find somebody is doing wrong somewhere, social media or something, I pick up the phone and say, राजा क्या कर रहे हैं? तो he said, मैम आप सर जैसा ही बोल रहे हो. मैं बोला हाँ वही तो तुझे सुनना है, because you know yourself you're doing wrong. Then so what he did for a lot of students, I know, because he used to always, and he used to talk to me about every situation that is. So that's the reason I could actually handle students later, because that was not my forte. I never have handled students as such, but his thing about everything, correcting them and narrating it to me or explaining me why he did that, helped me so much that I just said, Kaizzad, you just and I used to say, अरे घर पे आके मत बात कर अभी, let's talk different. So he used to, no, you listen to me, I have to talk to you about this. But that is helping me right now, because in a way he taught me how to handle that situation, which I have never would have actually.
No, absolutely. And I also think that is there in every K11 teacher, that particular ingredient that Sir had to correct people if they are going wrong. And that helps us students tremendously, because I see that in a lot of businesses, once the course is done, then you are no longer a customer for that person. So then they just leave you. And some people would prefer that, but they don't understand that in the long run, if you always have like a guardian angel looking at you, or a person who is always correcting you, a guru in the truest sense, who would scold you sometimes, who would compliment you, who would say
pat your back,
who would say that we see that in all K11 teachers, and that is something which is very special about Sir and K11 is what I feel. One more thing which I would really like to mention about Sir is that he is the reason why I think that 80% of the personal trainers in India are earning 2x instead of 1x.
I
because of the
agree.
Format of Monday, Wednesday, Friday and Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Because this is not there in Dubai, this is not there in the US, because in the US there is no concept of general trainer and personal trainer. It's only personal trainers, and you would pay per session wise. But this concept of 3 days a week of push-pull leg and completing all the body parts, that has actually doubled the earnings for...
Because you can take more clients.
Absolutely. And it is a complete program, because on the remaining 3 days people should do endurance training or flexibility training, etc. But that is also how the industry got set. The tone of the industry the entire structure of the industry got set with him, and I absolutely want to give full credit to him for making so many personal trainers successful, or showing them the path
yes.
towards success.
So he would always say that I will not take the credit of your success, nor I'll take the credit of your failures. I will teach you to become personal trainer, and I'll guide you how to be a successful personal trainer. To take it and adapt and learn, apply is your choice.
Right.
So that was his statement always. Though he would get extremely happy when student would call him with all the successful stories, and he would get extremely saddened with student calling him saying, "Sir, मैं ये 10,000 से ऊपर कमा नहीं सकता." And he would take more efforts on those people who would call him, and I've seen him putting in efforts, like he would sit with them like 6 hours, 7 hours, still he is satisfied. सुबह आगे वाला बोलेगा सर मैं जाता हूँ, तो he will say बैठ इधर and then he will explain. So I understand what you're talking. So coming back to that PTSP. So you attended Dr. Gangwal's first lecture, and you were convinced there that I have to do this course, right?
Yes, absolutely. Dr. Gangwal was also one of my first teachers for anatomy. He taught. He
because
took the
he
anatomy.
used to take lectures that
Correct.
time. Yes.
And so then he took the first lecture for special populations as well. I enrolled for that course also, but I did not complete that course in the first attempt.
Okay.
I completed it the next year.
Okay.
So in 2012 and 13, I had actually enrolled for nutrition course, personal trainer course, and SP course.
Oh, you did that?
Yeah, I did all three enrollments because I just wanted to learn more and more. But then the special populations course, then I completed in 2014, which was 13 and 14, so 1.5 years later. So that is, but when I completed that course also, it just felt like you are carrying more ammo and you are carrying more guns.
Application to people who are not kind of physically fit to do the
correct, or who have certain limitations.
Correct.
Be it a limitation with related to an exercise or range of motion or speed, etc. So that helped me a lot.
Correct. See why I'm asking you this question, and because I still see, I wouldn't say a lot of students, but few students that once they take the certificate, they just forget to upgrade their knowledge. So and they don't, and then they complain about not earning much. So they in the end they don't understand that your knowledge makes you earn money. तो वो एक ये मूवी का डायलॉग है ना 3 Idiots का, पैसे के पीछे मत भागो, you know,
correct, काबिल बनो.
So they don't understand that. That's why I wanted you to explain this, that why you thought about becoming a master trainer too. Also, Omkar, sorry, I'm digressing a bit, but you started your journey as a freelance trainer, as a freelancer. But I know that you had started this outfit called OMFIT. In what year but that you started? So
OMFIT started with me and Divita, who is the co-founder of OMFIT, in 2017.
Okay, so you did master trainer before that or after that?
I did. So master trainer's course happened after that. Actually, it went on hand in hand. When OMFIT started in Jan, master trainer's course started in Feb. So it was just a 1 month difference.
Okay.
And when I started OMFIT, it was basically that I wanted an entity named because I had to get a Shop Act license.
Right.
And then Omkar and Fitness, it just merged.
And
later I also realized the importance of the word Om or the syllable Om. Where some say that it is the universal sound or the vibration, etc. And it gives a very holistic vibe as well. So that's how OMFIT formed. And when OMFIT formed, I had no plans to build a team. Absolutely no plans. I had no plans made of what is going to come next. But then Divita started helping me a lot, who is now the CEO of OMFIT. And I will
come to that later because I have a lot of questions related to that.
Sure. So she used to help me with the accounting work. She used to help me because I am terrible at email writing. So
Really?
Now I got better at it. I can write a letter, but writing an email somehow.
Yeah, I got one letter. Can I see
Yeah.
that? There is one
other
frame
one, yeah.
that you had
This I had written
on the
for
Teachers'
sir,
Day, right?
on Teachers' Day.
So, Kaizzad used to write letters to me as well. So he had left a note on anniversary. So he understood the handwritten, that emotion.
Importance, yeah.
So this is the letter that Omkar is written for Kaizzad. Can you read it?
Yeah, sure. So this is 5 components of the Grandmaster. So this letter I
And
actually...
the plank you gave
I
it
gave
together.
it
Sorry,
together.
I forgot about that.
And I was so happy that he has put this up
Yes.
on the wall. So, respected sir, it is the supreme art of the teacher to awaken joy in creative expression and knowledge. This quote by Albert Einstein fits perfectly with you. You inspire me such that I love what I do. Every day I feel joy in my chosen field of work, which is possible only because of the teachings that I got from you and K11. Seeing you work so passionately pushes me every day to work harder and learn more. So this is when I had seen him working, where you mentioned, where if people had doubts, he would sit in his cabin and then try and solve those doubts. And then every time we looked up at the clock, it would be 2 a.m. or 3 a.m.
You know what he did one day with me? So he said, you meet me here. And I said, okay. And some student got him. And because I knew Kaizzad, and then I called him once, and then I called him second, and then I didn't call him. Then suddenly he realized in the middle of the meeting with this, oh shit. And then, so that's how he used to get lost. And thankfully I knew that trait. So I just went home from there. And then he called me, I said, I'm still there. So he went there. And then he said, you're not there. No, I said, I'm home. So he came.
And that does happen. I mean, you completely lose track of time when you love doing something. So I'll continue this. With every milestone I cross, more and more gratitude for you fills my heart. So for the person who made it possible, not just for me but for the entire fitness industry, to learn and teach correct science and also make a comfortable living out of it, thank you. Wishing the best teacher of my life a very happy Teachers' Day.
Excellent.
Your student, Omkar.
Excellent. So he was very happy when he received both. So I wanted everyone to know about it, because giving something but having some thought process behind that is very, very important. There is one common thing between you and Kaizzad. I don't know whether you have noticed, or has he ever told you, or whether he realized or not. Both of your mothers asked you to start the career in this.
Yes.
If you remember.
And his mother was also very supportive.
Yeah.
She went to Chincholkar sir and asked.
So otherwise he wouldn't have had career in fitness.
So true.
Same as your mother asked you to do the nutrition course.
And she supported me all the way. I mean, my mom.
Yeah.
So that is when I would just like to touch upon one more aspect of the career after the special populations course. This is something I really want to share with the listeners out there. Is that when you are in the formative years of your career, and this I get nowadays a lot, that there is a lot of denial to do new things from students, not just students, from anyone who is entering the fitness industry. There is a lot of resistance to do uncomfortable things. For example, when all of this was going on, and I mentioned financial problem, body related issues, mental torture, college
torture.
With this, then the Master Trainers course started in 2017. When all of this started, I also enrolled in Body Power. So this was an experience that I got by Body Power Expo, where I got a lot of exposure to the international fitness industry. Because in Body Power, what happened was that I enrolled for Body Power, and along with me was Alkesh. Alkesh is also a master trainer.
Yeah, I know Alkesh.
And in my opinion right now, and this is again my opinion as far as I have known or people in the industry, he is one of the best nutritionists in the industry right
Alkesh?
now. Yeah. and I would really say in the entire country maybe.
I would meet him once because I have lost connect with him.
He is moved to Canada now.
Oh, really?
Yes. But
But I'll connect with him anyways. You send me his number because see, Pranit and Sagar had started one gym, Fitarati or something like that.
No, that was Alak. This is Alkesh Shirotri that I'm talking.
Oh, right. Alkesh, Priyanka's
Correct. Husband.
Right.
Husband now. Yeah. So he was like an elder brother to me during that phase.
Okay.
And he had done the master trainer's course.
Correct.
And every time, and he and me started working with Body Power together.
Oh.
And in Body Power, what was it that they used to give you a term called as ambassador,
Right.
which used to sound very cool. But ambassador का काम क्या होता है? जाओ भागो पोस्टर लगाओ जिम में. But that particular experience, it was such hard work. And me and Alkesh, because we put up maximum posters all around Pune to some 150 gyms
Wow.
for free using our fuel arm.
Of course, you're an ambassador.
But because of that, we earned maximum points,
Okay.
and we were invited to a dinner where Mr. Nick Orton was there and all these bodybuilders. That is where we got to meet Ronnie Coleman.
It was in
Goregaon, Mumbai.
Goregaon, right?
Yeah. We got to meet Ronnie Coleman. I got to meet Kai Green. I got to meet Phil Heath. I got to meet that Sergi Constance. A lot of these bodybuilders who were Olympians and Dorian Yates also.
I was just going to ask.
Yeah.
And it was in 2014 or 16?
Yeah, so we were 16. 16 mainly. So all these big Olympians who you have seen on camera for so long, we got to meet them, talk to them face to face, also go for a dinner with some of them. And that was an amazing experience for us.
So out of all of them, who was the friendliest?
I think that was Ronnie.
Yeah, even I guess. Because Ronnie, we had met and Kaizzad had interviewed him.
Yeah.
And the way he spoke was so friendly. There was no air in his head.
Yeah. Dorian Yates also was just going around the expo, and what he had done is he had grown a beard. So no one recognized him. And Alkesh went up to him and said, "Are you Dorian Yates?" And then he said yes. And then that was a big fanboy moment for us. But what we learned a lot from that expo was there was the time where we made these industry connections.
Right.
We understood what goes in the supplement industry. We understood what goes in the equipment industry. I visited one supplement manufacturing facility. I visited one equipment manufacturing facility.
But this supplement manufacturing facility was in Himachal?
No, this was one in Pune,
Okay.
where they used to only manufacture, they used to separate out the cheese and the whey part.
Understood.
But in equipment manufacturing, I understood. I also had installed one entire gym setup using just one Allen key, because all the equipment was installable or could be assembled using an Allen key. So that experience was something where we just jumped in.
Correct.
And we did not see how much money we are going to get out of it.
Right.
We were having sleepless nights.
But that experience taught you so much.
Correct.
Which you wouldn't have otherwise. You know, so that's what exactly I get your point when you say that the new trainers or from any field, new people or say this generation as a resistance to try out things.
Absolutely. And we had one event right now where we are official fitness partners for a sports academy who is teaching athletes the sport of shooting. International level elite 16 athletes. And one of a trainer in our team who had recently joined, I asked him a question that, would you like to go? And his response was, you know what, I'm really confused, going to Hyderabad for 8 days. And I told him, we will fly you there. You will stay in a 3-star hotel.
Yeah.
Food will be taken care of. Everything will be taken care of. You just have to go there and train them for 1.5 hours a day.
Correct.
Only.
Correct.
And you get exposure to international athletes who are participating in the Olympics right now with Manu Bhaker and all these Olympians.
What kind of experience?
And this guy is saying, no, you know what, I am a little confused. That, when you listen to that and when we compare what we have gone through, then that is a big gap.
So I completely understand that. I mean, I handle it on day-to-day life, you know, when in dealing with students or even the new joinees in the company also. So the whole that drive, you know, we speak about, it's reducing. So I mean, it's over the year. So I have distributed flyers at 4 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes I have started day at 4 in Thana, then went to Kafpred, then come to Kandivali because we had 3 Euphoria benches placed like that. But I didn't think about, how much I am traveling or how many kilometers. But right now, if I ask somebody to do that circuit, they will say, no ma'am, it's not possible, how much I will have to. And actually the traveling is become easier with metro and all.
I also believe that because so many people are becoming so weak,
Oh yeah.
it is actually very easy.
So when you say weak, it's not only they will say, no, but I'm so strong, I pick up so much of weight, but that is not
Mentally weak.
weak.
But you know what? I sometimes have now started enjoying it, and I'll tell you why. Because it is so simple to be successful now. You just be tough and strong, and 90% of the people out there are so weak. And not enjoying in a bad way. I just wanted to stress
Make
upon
a
this point here, that when you become strong mentally and toughen up, it is actually so easy to get towards success.
Actually it is easy because it's just that you are so set on your...
Or more than easy, we can call it simple.
Yeah.
It is hard.
But see,
tough.
when you like something ना, कुछ भी फर्क नहीं पड़ता सिंपल क्या है और हार्ड क्या है. You are just so stuck there कि ये करना ही है हमें.
Right.
So, I mean, it doesn't make difference to you, but I feel that, and Kaizzad had felt that in 2020 so much that I remember one night he was so upset and he said, Kalyani, the generation is becoming weak. I said, Kaizzad, we can't help it. How K11 students can become, that. I said, you can't help it. You do everything in your power to teach them how to be stronger on mental and physical aspect. If they are not grasping, what are you going to do? So, but he being him took it so much to his heart that, it really bothered him for the longest time.
And I also think social media has...
I hate it. I'm really telling you.
So I'm not on social media since 2.5 years. I'm there for branding, marketing purposes. But I have people in my team who handle that.
So I don't hate social media, but I think it's become so widespread now that it's difficult to, be actually personal. First of all, if you are, and so before Kaizzad, if you see my post used to be very far and few because Kaizzad was there posting it about everything. And after that, I had to take that responsibility, but I don't like it. Right now, I'm handling the marketing section of K11 but there is so much where we advertise and I feel there has to be a one platform and that's all.
Yeah, so I believe that right now we are facing a problem of abundance and not of scarcity.
Correct.
Because if you look 50 years, eating sugar was seen, or eating sweets was seen as a thing which was only done during festivities and celebrations.
Yeah.
So if you would get your hands on, let's say, jalebi, people would not leave that chance. Why? Because it was so scarce. You did not get it every day. Right now, I think we are in the age of problems created because of abundance.
Of course.
Abundance of sugar, abundance of drugs, and abundance of information. Because when you go on a platform like Instagram, you keep scrolling and there is so much information that you load up on your brain that people have stopped forming opinions of their own. This was again something I would like to slightly digress from the topic, but I would like to mention. So I got the opportunity of training Mr. Sanjeev Bajaj, who is the chairman of Bajaj Finance. And I was asking him on how he reads, or how he reads about blogs, etc. By the way, the amount of reading that he does, I have not seen any other individual doing so much reading after handling such a big business. He mentioned that whenever I read whatever the author has written, I do not agree to 100%.
Yeah.
I have my own filters, I have my own opinions, and that is how I train my mind to think. That is what he told me. And since then, how I read has changed.
I have always read like that. Kaizzad has always read like that. Because if you don't question, you never will analyze what's written there and whether it's right or wrong. So somebody, asks you a question, does this situation makes you happy? So I always, from school days, I used to ask them, in this situation, where am I? Because your answer would change as per where am I, or so on the scale of 1 to 10, how happy you feel. So I used to ask, where am I? But because if I'm in the mountains, I'm on the 9 scale, and if I'm in the jail, I'm -2. So you define that.
So I did not read that way.
No, really?
My target was to finish the book and to finish certain number of books. And I really liked that what we call is virtue signaling. There is one more very great podcaster called as Naval Ravikant.
Yes.
And he has a podcast with Joe Rogan.
Yes.
I again do not agree to 100% of what he says, but let's say 70%. So he talks about virtue signaling in that. And that is something which I was trapped inside, where I have to finish certain number of books in a certain period of time. Later, I realized that no, not everything that is written in the books is always true, and you should have your own thoughts.
So I'll give you and Kaizzad had literally came and kind of hugged me, and so we read a book called Drive. Okay, and in that Drive, or To Sell is a Human, I don't remember whether it's the Drive or To Sell is a Human, where he's given an example of a car dealership where they don't follow up and everything.
To Sell is Human.
To Sell is a Human, correct. So we stopped calling follow-ups, okay. So it did not go down well with me, because I knew unless I remind a person, they are not going to come, because that might not be the topmost priority in their head. So he said, no, education is. I said, see, listen, we are not into formal education where you don't require a reminder. We are into vernacular education where it is an optional for them right now, whether I want to do it or not do it. The ones who want to do it will come without follow-up. But the ones who, so I proved it to him. I said, I will prove it to you. Firstly, I wrote to that guy. I forgot his name. Dan Miller. I forgot the author.
I haven't read that book, but I have heard Sir mention it.
So I said, how do you manage? I said, you are talking about not doing a follow-up. And suppose you have a person who's warm category and he needs a reminder, and you ask, so how can you not do the follow-up? It's not that you are doing a pushy sales follow-up. I said, you define that in your book, because people are really implementing it. And then I registered for a riding course, track riding course in August, I think. Yeah, August or September. And they called me a day before, and I had forgotten that I have to pay, I have to go there, because I was in the midst of setting up Kolkata branch. And then they called me a day before, and I said, but I can't come tomorrow. You should have called me 2 weeks before at least. So they said, okay, come next batch. And I immediately called Kaizzad. Then I said, see, I've been telling you that people need reminder, not that I had any less intention of. So when I read that book, and then he changed, because he was deciding and taking decisions that time. So he had made that key less follow-ups, leave it, and our collection had dropped. And then we implemented a perfect system where you don't get pushy, but you give a reminder call, and then the collection started picking up again. So he said, thank you for bringing up to my notice. I was following the book blindly.
Yeah.
So I said, you can't do that.
True.
So also one author that Kaizzad kind of liked first and didn't like later was Simon Sinek. And there is one more author, I don't remember his name, but I'll tell you. And I always kept on telling him that take what is required. Forget about what you don't like. But there are 4 points out of 10 points, you can take 1. If you can't take 1, then forget about it. But I don't think we should shut down any book or anything because you don't like it. Even if you get 10%, take that 10%, it always comes handy. So that he implemented in a second. So he was that, like he never had that thing about कि I am superior and nobody can correct me. Like
but having original thoughts is so important, because when we are reading something or even attending a course, and that is seen when you start questioning people. I did not do that earlier. Really?
I never thought you wouldn't do it.
I would just read the book and I would think that whatever I've read and whatever the author has written is the right thing. Because usually these books were bestsellers, etc. What really then changed my perspective was when Mr. Bajaj mentioned that you need to train your mind how to think. Secondly, another family who I was training, her father, his name is Mr. Arun Kirloskar. So he used to read a lot of history books. And same thing, even when historians have written something, he would write his own opinion about it.
But
And this
you would
is
read
right.
which history? The entire world's history or
Both, entire world's history, the country's history, and then they would have their original thoughts. That gave me an understanding that yes, you don't have to be arrogant or rude, but at the same time you can have your own set of thoughts.
Yes.
And you can be an original thinker.
Correct.
So that is what gave me, or I started training the mind
like
that
that.
way after that.
So you read a book called Money Psychology. Okay? I don't know whether you've read about it or not. One of the K11 staff picked up the book to read it, and I was, I said, but then I remembered that how I read the book. Let's just read the book that way and question everything. So certain parts are so fabulous, and certain parts are really like, oh, you ignore it kind of things.
So talking more on the books part, there is a conscious decision that I made last year, which is that I stopped reading all self-help books from the West. I read science-based books from the West, but when it comes to self-help, I only read Eastern authors, and usually authors who are not there in the world anymore.
I know you like Vivekananda.
I have probably read Swami Vivekananda's Karma Yoga, which is the complete book of yoga. It is a part of that. It is a 64-page part. I must have read that 20 times up until now, and every time I read it, there is a new meaning that comes to that.
But don't you think you evolve with the age? That's why your meaning to read that changes.
So true.
So you read. So I have read Mahabharata at the age when I was in school. My granny used to read it. I started reading with her. When I read that, my understanding was different. When I read it when I was in college, my understanding was different. When I want to read it one more time now, actually I want to read a Ramayana now to understand, just because the philosophy and everything. And I have read it once, which I don't remember anything. But now my approach will be so different because I am almost nearing 50. So the experience over the period of years I have gathered.
True. And these are timeless principles.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. It applies to everyone.
Correct.
They apply to all. Similarly, I read Autobiography of a Yogi by Yogananda Paramahansa.
That is still heavy book for me.
Yeah. So these books I read for self-help.
Correct.
But other than that, when it comes to science, when it comes to what is happening in the industry, some new concept around fitness sciences, nutrition sciences, that is where my inclination is towards Western authors.
Correct.
One book that absolutely changed me as a person, or a lot of people in our company, is a book called as Extreme Ownership. Extreme Ownership is by Jocko Willink, who is a retired Navy SEAL. And in that book, he writes what happened in the army during their Navy SEAL operations. So that book's completely, you get engrossed and you feel like you are there on the battlefield. And from there, he teaches how it applies to business and how it applies to life and how you can lead. So a lot of leadership lessons in that particular book.
I would read that.
So, and we have seen such transformation in people working with us by reading that book, that they start owning the mistakes. So the blame game stops.
Exactly. So whenever I used to work, one thing I didn't do in my entire career, and Kaizzad and Devki, who's the director in K11, another director, always said ki Kalyani never blames anybody. That one thing I never did some at small scale level while working, sometimes I must have done it, but whenever I have done bigger mistakes, I have never put it on anybody. I have always owned up to saying, I have done it, tell me how you want me to correct it. If you want me to pay financially, I'll pay for it. If you want me to do. So they always, and that is missing in a lot of people.
Yeah.
They don't own up. And in my personal matters, I don't own up to mistakes very easily. Kaizzad used to always tell me, तेरा क्या है? Personal अलग है, company में तू अलग ही रहती है. Company में mistake हो गया, you will be the first one to say sorry. Personal में mistake हो गया, you will not say sorry. So I said that you will leave apart. But I see that less in many people. I said, हो गया ना mistake, करो ना, own it, commit it. And
Because I think accepting or taking ownership for that problem is the first step to solving the problem.
Kaizzad has written a very beautiful mail about it, which I'll send it to you. I'm going to start publishing his emails.
Because I would love to read it out to the team. And even in the team, we have a few people who we call as our leadership team. There is one guy named Kedar. Huge transformation from the time he joined, and now he's leading a team. There is another guy who is also a master trainer by the name Sahil. Amazing consistency that I've seen ever.
Right.
He has been on high fat, moderate protein, very low carbohydrates, this particular nutrition pattern, I think so since 2019, without a single cheat meal.
That's impossible.
Without a single cheat meal. And he attended my wedding, in which he had made friends with the breakfast guy who would
give
cook
you
eggs. Would cook eggs for him. But the kind of commitment that I see from my teammates only, that is something which keeps on inspiring. And I had also mentioned this ago that I become like a sponge. Many times then it is not about reading books only. Then it is about observing our teammates, and everyone has their own qualities. It is about observing people. So Kaizzad sir also introduced me to Rohan More, who has been again an elder brother figure who has helped me a lot of times. He still helps me. We keep on discussing. So our relationship from a
client and
trainer and student relationship then went to him becoming the trainer, because he started teaching me things about business. So I stopped personal training for him because I understood that he has now understood everything.
He doesn't require me.
Correct. Because when it comes to personal training, I believe that a personal trainer can do two things. One is that he can teach a person certain exercises, fitness protocols, fitness science. And second is only for accountability. So a lot of people join personal training, they might know more than the trainer, but they are only paying the trainer for accountability.
Correct.
But I don't feel that just paying someone for accountability and getting paid for only for accountability is a great thing. So then when I finish my period with a certain member, when I have given him everything that I have, then I am the one who tells the member that I want to step back.
But that's the right way to do it.
Yeah.
That's the right way to do it.
So with Rohan it happened, and then I started observing how he works. Then I started observing how you work. You have invited me a couple of times to watch how K11 does sales and K11 does marketing and handles the business parts. So there is so much that both me and the co-founder Divita, we have learned so much from K11, not just on the fitness but also on that side. And this entire understand when you observe things, this I learned from sir. And I'll give you a short story about it. Sir called me for a cup of chai to your Pune home. And I came in and he was watching America's Got Talent. That
it's
show.
Our favorite.
Yeah. And when he was watching that, he would pause it after every 5 minutes and he would tell me, see how they pan the camera to the audience. See how they capture expressions. So he would do so much learning from that. Even in the Master Trainers course, he would give us examples of Batman, Iron Man, so many movies. The Peaceful Warrior.
Oh, that is my. I have seen that movie endless times. So I saw the movie first. I called Kaizzad, come home right now. So he said, I am not coming. I said, Kaizzad, I never call you home. Come home right now. But actually he left everything, whatever he was doing. I didn't even ask him, what are you doing? I said, sit with me and watch this movie. And then
so you were the one who introduced him.
Because I read about this book called Peaceful Warrior. Dan Millman, and I happened to stumble upon his story, and then I said, "Ore, there is a movie," and then I saw the guy hanging upside down, that poster of his, or diving down or something like that, hanging upside down.
He's a gymnast.
So I said, gymnast, my favorite topic. I said, chalo dekho movie, and then he came, and then it became his favorite movie, and we have done like आपण म्हणतो ना मराठीमध्ये पारायण केलेत आम्ही त्याचे. But every time you see that movie, every time you find something new in that movie.
So true. So then sir used to also teach us, using examples from these movies, which made the entire experience of learning
Easier,
so much easier and so cool.
excited.
I had told him this on his face that you are probably the coolest teacher that I know.
Yeah,
Because-
110%.
He is talking to 20-year-olds about Marvel and these movies like Batman and Transformers that you don't see a 50-year-old say, to 20-year-olds. So he had that cool character, but that is where we started adopting a lot of that, where now when I train my members, I have a list of
Example.
movie
Or-
scenes in my laptop and on YouTube, which I show them to teach a concept.
Okay, by the way, have you watched this movie called Secretariat?
No.
Oh, it's about a horse, and I think you should watch it. It's about not giving up.
Okay.
On the owner side more than the horse side, because
Okay.
horse is the greatest athlete of the century. He's been declared. Actually, it's
Okay.
a real life story. Watch it, and you please tell me your findings from it.
Okay, surely, definitely. Then there was Ford versus Ferrari.
Yeah,
That was another movie which I.
that actually is heartbreaking at the
Yeah.
end.
But still, when you read up about Ken Miles, he then won a couple of Le Mans later.
Yeah,
So-
but that first experience when I saw it
Yeah,
left a very bad taste.
Yeah. But the scene in which he talks about the perfect lap,
Yeah.
where he says that it is not about going narrow,
It's-
but then awareness broadens you. And then that used to overlap a lot with how Sir used to teach about lifting.
Yeah.
And I had mentioned this in another speech during Establishment Day also, that Kaizzad Sir, he taught us life
Yes, he did.
through the Master
He
Trainers
did.
course. So not just because the concepts that he taught us are applicable to any aspect of life.
So that was actually my next question to you about what did you learn from K11 and I mean you've spoken so much, so I didn't have to ask exactly, but what is that prominent thing that you always keep in your mind about values that Kaizzad in terms taught you, or you picked up from Kaizzad? I wouldn't say, because Kaizzad never would try to teach you, he would always explain and people will pick up, I want, like that.
So first I would say that he was he was very, very curious
Yeah.
about knowing new things, because he has changed the nutrition manual 3 times. So, and that cannot happen when you're not curious.
And-
Secondly, what I learned from him was he was brave,
Hmm.
because he would take a stand.
Yeah.
And then that again, as I said, that comes down in everyone in K11
Yeah.
later. He would not be afraid to take a stand. He would not be afraid to correct people on the spot, no matter who they are. Third thing was his ability to teach. That is something that we all, whoever has attended his lectures, we all picked on that, where he would simplify a complex term or something
Make
like
it so easy.
gluconeogenesis,
Yeah.
for example. He would break it down into small parts and then he would explain. So these are some of the skills, only some, which we learned, and then being absolutely passionate about his work.
Wow.
And this was something which I had learnt later, that the actual Latin and French origin of the word passion is to suffer.
Really?
Yes. And if you go towards the roots of the word passion, and it is suffering in a good way, because
But
a
when
lot
you
of
say
people-
suffer, it's always negative.
yeah, but you suffer on the physical plane, let's say, where you completely get lost in a certain subject, like Sir would get lost in
Yeah,
teaching, and then you would realize it later where the time has
Many
passed.
things you would get actually lost in.
Correct. So these were things which we all learned from him. And he would not teach these things by calling out these things.
Yeah.
They don't know this is how you need to be passionate, or this is
He-
it was just that he demonstrated that.
Without
and
wanting to.
we were wanting to, and we would understand that from the way he behaved, from the way he
Correct.
acted, etc.
So K11 also, what K11 adapted and want to teach the students is a clarity and complete transparency. So one thing that we adapted, because Kaizzad, we always were clear about our terms in course, but he made it so transparent for the student that so
Yeah.
transparency and clarity was upmost for him. That I have to be clear in my thoughts to teach you something.
True.
That was amazing. So, do you apply that in your? I mean, you mentioned that already, but we have missed out on the part because we digressed from the topic. How OMFIT became bigger OMFIT. So, how did that journey go through? So, I know there are ups and downs in your career.
Yeah.
So that I want you to tell them, because see, what happens is if you've gone down, you have come up again. But that down part, it's something that a lot of people can't handle it. They can't handle failures. I mean, you have to bounce back, right? COVID put a lot of people down, but very few bounce back.
Yeah. So when we talk about the up and downs, I have probably made more mistakes in the last 12 years than anyone I know.
But did you want to be an entrepreneur? Had you thought about being an entrepreneur?
No, not really. I never thought of being an entrepreneur. In 2015-16, I had only one thing on my mind: make money.
Yeah.
And make money not to show off, but make money because I wanted to clear the debt that the family had. I wanted to make sure that everything is secure. Was one thing which constantly troubled me was, what if something happens to my family members where they end up in a hospital and I don't have money to pay.
Yeah, I absolutely.
What can I do? And so I always wanted to create that cushion. So that became a driving factor. OMFIT happened when I got so many members who wanted to train with me that I did not have anyone else who I could give those trainings to. I would pass on or refer people names of other nutritionists or trainers, but that is when I started a personal training studio as well. By the way, 7th of September was my master trainer's exam, 2018, and 7th of September was the launch of my personal training studio.
Okay.
And 8th of September was the master trainer's exam. So I was going all engines out. Hard work means hard work. You just work all day, all night. So that I started, and that is where I had to build a team. Because in the personal training studio, we went from 3 members to 80 members in a matter of 3 months. And 80 members I could not handle alone. So that is where a K11 certified student named Shri, he came in. And then he was the first person I really onboarded. Divita was always there.
See, Divita, she's a founder member. So she is, we'll talk about her role because I want to discuss something for budding entrepreneurs, which they don't understand in now. Or they don't have that perspective, I would say, but I'll come to that later. So
then Shri came in, and then 2 more people came in, and 3 more people came in, and then Shruti came in, who is the head of department of the nutrition department in the team right now. So that is how the team started building up. The personal training studio that I had started, I went into a bad partnership, and I don't really blame my partner here, because he did a partnership, but I did not put forth my views in front of him, because I thought that what will he think, and I went under that pressure of how can I go up to someone and say, and what if he feels bad?
And खूप Maharashtrian trait है ना?
Yes, I think so. And I signed the agreement, and then I went to sir. And then I told him that I had done this.
Sir म्हणाले, अरे राजा काय केलं तू?
Correct. Sir said that you should have come to me before. But you know what? I came out of that partnership in 6 months, and then I went to sir and I said, I told him again that this happened, and you know what sir told me? That congratulations. And I was surprised. He said that you got a free MBA course in 6 months. You would never go in a bad partnership again. But to top that, I went in a partnership called as Health Span.
Oh yes.
But nothing happened on paper. It was not the mistake of these partners. It was just that we had some misalignment at that point of time, and I could not tell them my views. And only when I would come under a certain amount of pressure from that person, then I would start eating myself up inside. Now it is very clear. Now I have learned to say no. So if I don't agree to something, or if someone comes to me with a partnership, I would say yes or no, very, very openly, without being rude or completely agreeing to the point that I know that we can't align. So that maturity level maybe came in
happens.
later.
We also got into bad partnership. Kaizzad is also got into bad partnership. So it happens.
Yeah.
It teaches you a lesson. One thing that I was very clear about is expressing my views and opinions, and I've had I've got a lot of brunt for that. But I never said, if I don't express and tell my views, I'm going to be at the receiving end. So Devki used to call me rebel. She's saying, you are a rebel, you will always talk like that. But I said, I have to. Thankfully, my uncle taught me that as a child. So I was lucky enough to have him. I mean, he guiding me.
But I also believe that when you start your career as a freelancer in this industry, it is extremely difficult to stay on a certain path. And I think that is because a freelancer has to manage accounts, a freelancer has to manage marketing, this, that, and then a freelancer thinks that I might as well get a partner to handle all the rest of the stuff and I will do my thing.
But why can't the freelancer think that I'll get an app to handle all these things? It's
Correct.
such a simple thing. So
Correct.
you have to understand when you start as an entrepreneur, freelancer, at what stage you need what, and that's very much important. What stage I need a partner. I mean, you've been lucky enough to have Divita with you from day one.
Yes.
So Kaizzad wasn't like that. It wasn't like that with Kaizzad. So, but if I'm a single freelancer right now, I would not tell you. I mean, if the students are coming to me, I don't tell them. I said, just get an app. It does everything for you.
Yeah.
But there is so much resistance to that. I don't know. I mean, now it's changing. App makes your life easy. You feed in the contact details. You feed in everything. Done.
No, but I also think that along with the app, and this is something that I am not saying that because I am running a company, but I think that for the first formative 2 or 3 years after doing the course,
To work
they
as a
need
freelancer.
to work with a company. is
Have
what
to
I
work
believe.
as a trainer, I mean to say.
As an employee.
Yes.
Because I have 3-4 benefits that I've seen as an employee. Now I am an employee of OMFIT. I am an entrepreneur, but I am also the biggest employee. Because on
Who
the
doesn't
day,
get off, who's on duty 24/7.
correct. I remember that we had our performance lab opening
Yeah.
when you had come, you and Mayur sir had come to inaugurate. 20 minutes before you came, a glass fell down and I was picking it up. I came for Ahmedabad for the very first career counseling seminar that I was doing outside Maharashtra for
Yes,
K11.
I remember that.
And I entered and I saw you with a broomstick brooming the floor.
I have done that at so many locations.
Correct. And that, and now people start saying that, oh, so humble. But I don't think there is any humbleness in
No,
that.
it's
It
my
is something
thing.
that you have to do.
मेरे घर पे होता तो मैं करती हूँ.
Right.
तेरे
So-
घर पे होता you would have done.
Social media I also hate for this one thing where so many people portray themselves as entrepreneurship being a cooler thing than being an employee. But if you're happy being an employee, I would also like to be an employee. I am an employee in OMFIT. And you know what? 2 years back, we asked help from Divita's father, who was the CEO of National Insurance,
You
retired as
mentioned
that, to be an advisor to us and to keep us in check. Because if you are not kept in check, and if that positive pressure is not there, progressing becomes that much more difficult because you get so much
Exactly.
distracted.
And you get very lethargic.
Correct.
You know, there is, I completely relate
Yeah.
to that.
Now we have trainers who join us and they have HODs on top of them. The HODs keep on correcting them. This is not how you should talk to a member. This is how you should talk to a member. This is not the right time to message. We have a policy where sending a heart emoji
It's banned.
is not allowed. But all of this is training that you would get in 2 ways. One is by doing that wrong thing and then the member leaving you and you getting into a loss, or second by a senior. So I absolutely believe that 2 or 3 years at least
No, I completely
every
agree.
trainer or nutritionist should join a company, and they should choose that company not based on whether they are famous on Instagram or not, or whether they are only uploading money or not, but really by seeing that along with my financial growth, is this company going to provide me intellectual growth, personal growth. That is something that they need to
I completely agree.
value the company.
So when the student come to me, so there are a lot of students come to me for gym management, because I've been setting up gyms for last 20 years and I handle all setups in K11. So I first tell them, go and work as a gym manager for 6 months. If you like that job, then you can become a gym owner. Otherwise, I have seen so many gyms going down the drain, set up by trainers, because they think, so I'm a personal trainer, they think the next step for me is setting up the gym. It's not actually. You set up a personal training studio for your clients and take one-on-one training. That's what you need to do. Not set up a gym and then go into the losses. So we have master trainer course, and from where, so we always tell, so whoever wants to do master trainer course, we always suggest you first, after doing your PT, work in the industry for a year or so, gather what a personal trainer does, and then you become a master trainer, which will help you, your knowledge from K11, your knowledge from industry, to become an effective master trainer.
Absolutely. And I think that is what one of the most premier institute in the world, which is Harvard Business School, also does. That they do not accept people if they have not worked in the industry.
How do you teach otherwise?
Correct.
Further things like, not I'm talking about the techniques of the lifting and all, but your interpersonal skills, how to talk to client, what you have experienced, what are the difficult times that you've been through, and everything.
And my personal goal, or let's say professional goal, with OMFIT, is to make this company so great that, like now I see people who work with McKinsey or who work with Google, and they would still wear t-shirts of McKinsey and Google, and when they go to pitch to other people or meet other people, they, or even in their LinkedIn profiles, they have something written as ex McKinsey, ex Google written in their profiles. I want to make OMFIT that.
I'm sure it will be that stage. I'm 110% sure.
Thank you for your faith.
I'm telling you. I mean, there are certain students of K11. You are one of them that really run things in a very, very ethical way, which I really like. And not, I mean, I'm speaking on behalf of Kaizzad morely, because he would always have that faith in you, Aditya. For sure he would say, and I know when you guys have done mistake, he would call you and he would tell you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's the reason I have a faith that people working with you would put that. If they want to apply something.
And recently what happened is, one of the trainers who was working with us, I went to a gym where I was training a member. I am still a personal trainer in the mornings. So from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. I'm still doing that, and after 10 a.m. I then go to the office. So when I was watching him, he was taking personal training for another member, and I was just watching him, and he did not know on the first day that I was there. And what I saw was, he came in the gym before the member, he changed his shoes, he kept his outdoor shoes outside, stepped inside, wore his other shoes. He was wearing neat clothes, neat and tidy. His nails were filed, and he was training that member with command on the floor. And this was the same trainer 2 years back when he had joined OMFIT, who did not have confidence on the gym floor. And then after his journey with OMFIT, and in OMFIT I am not the only teacher who upskills trainers. Now we have created a culture where on every Tuesday we come together and we teach each other. So some knowledge I get from them, some knowledge I give it to them. So it has become like a culture where we keep on pushing. Culture of learning. Learning never stops is what we call it. Right. So I saw that, and that day I felt that wow, I've
done something.
Not me, but OMFIT has done something.
When I say you have, I am addressing it to OMFIT. So whenever I go for a meeting and I say it's not me, it's K11. I am nothing without K11. So it's the title that we hold. So that way.
And so many things where I feel that when you have some check on you, where there is someone who is keeping a check on you, how many sessions did you do? Okay, you are on an off. Why have you taken an off today? Those questions are so important because they push you hard.
Yeah.
Always like to read many autobiographies of people or biographies. You would see a stark difference between two chefs in the world which are at their top game. One is Gordon Ramsay and one is his teacher, Marco Pierre White.
Oh, I didn't know his teacher.
Yeah. You should watch the videos of Marco Pierre White. The way in which he commands the kitchen, he is very simple, very to the point, and has that calmness and coolness in it.
But Gordon Ramsay is very angry chef.
Absolutely. So I think that Gordon Ramsay has that TV avatar of himself. He might not be that angry, but he's always moving around. He's always very hyper. And this Marco Pierre White would keep looking in the camera for 2 minutes where his eggs are getting boiled, and then he would do one flick like that, and then things would go. So even in his experience, he mentions that I went from restaurant to restaurant, and the restaurant industry is very, very demanding, where they have to work 20 hours a day. He mentioned that I got pushed so much by the chefs. They abused me, they were swearing at me, and on day one, my teacher taught me service is service, and all you need to say to your senior is yes, chef. And then he went through that for 5 years. So he said that I did not learn a lot of cooking in those 5 years, but I learned how to be tough. I learned how to take yes and no for an answer. I learned never to throw in the towel. I learned just to be hard. And I think so that is what a company can do for people.
That is what the personal trainer should understand, that becoming a freelancer is easy.
Yeah, because there is no entry barrier now.
And you are missing out on so much things, so many learning experiences which you will not get as an individual.
Yeah.
And so your advice is completely right. So my next question was going to be about what exactly you want to give your advice to your K11 students.
Sure. So one thing I had in my mind was to share is that the industry has no entry barrier now.
Correct.
So 10 years ago, if I wanted to make a name or build a career in this industry, the only path was I had to join a gym.
Yes.
Right? As a trainer, I'm saying.
Yes.
To join a gym, you require infrastructure. You require a budget of 50 lakhs to 1 CR to 2 CR to set up a gym. Now that has become a lot more simpler because the entry barrier is not there with online. You have a smartphone and you can become an online trainer. There are so many of these Instagram, YouTube trainers who don't even do courses and who become trainers.
Yeah, I know such.
So infrastructure is not a problem. The entry barrier to get started in this industry and to start making money in this industry is very, very low, even as a nutritionist, because technology has helped people that way. But people need to understand that when you are a freelancer, you are also an entrepreneur. They need to know the basics, or they need to get the basics right. The basics will become right if they are studying from K11 because they understand fitness sciences. But when it comes to facing the world, some basics they can learn from a company.
Yeah,
from working with a company.
See also, and what social media is doing now. So a lot of videos I see where I want to do something on my own. I want to be. I don't think that's required because when I see at my growth, I don't think I would have. I mean, I may have. I don't want to underestimate myself because I know my potential. But I am happy in being an entrepreneur, what Kaizzad would call me. You are a perfect example for entrepreneur because I started as a trainer and became a CEO. So they don't look at that option at all nowadays because if you own up to that company or that responsibility that you assume in the company, you grow in ladder. You don't have to stay where you have to stay. People really throw in towel a lot faster nowadays rather than, and I don't know what is this thing about I want to be on my own, I want to be an entrepreneur. Nobody decides. None of the entrepreneurs have decided actually that they wanted to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah. But I think so, ma'am, that is the influence of social media.
That's exactly what I'm saying. It's now because of social media.
Now you see one chaiwala, I don't want to take his name and make him famous at all. There is one chaiwala who does these cringe chai videos.
Okay.
and cringe content is what works, right? And then he got a video with Bill Gates.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah. And now he is on his way to buy a Rolls Royce apparently. I don't know whether it is staged or what. But what happens is that the impact of this is so bad that people think there is a shortcut. But they don't also realize
No,
that...
I will tell you, Omkar, every person would choose what they want to become. And I would respect that, okay? So you want to become and go that you were never meant for greatness.
Correct.
Let's put it that. So, means with the age you will always reach that level where you will... Kaizzad also later on started saying, I said, but they have chosen that. They want to be to that level where they want to take it in a different way, like, double meaning jokes or whatever it is on this. I said, we can teach them up to one level. Ultimately, it's their responsibility what they want to do ahead. So, we have to make sure that number of people who go that way are less.
Yeah. So, but ma'am, short-term success is guaranteed in that way.
Fine.
So, if a person starts making those double meaning jokes or cringe videos, he or she will guarantee two things, that in the short term they will grow, but if you look at the long term, they will not.
But they have to understand that.
Correct.
And they don't.
Correct.
A lot of people don't. And Instagram is... So, I don't know what's going to be ahead in social media, because it's blown up to such an extent that I know a lot of people who really not into the game or any activity, but they would market that. And people would follow them just because they have 1.42k followers or 1.83k followers. But that is the downside of social media.
Yeah. But I think there is great power in restraint. So if people start controlling the urge to give in to these things on social media, or to start doing these things for quick success, they would guarantee long-term success. Secondly, what I feel for new people is that they should not glorify their success or connect their success with
Materialistic thing.
I have a few materialistic achievements, but I would not rate them higher
I agree.
than transforming a member's life. Like, for example, someone like Rohan, who was a diabetic,
Oh yeah.
who was obese, and now his squat, bench and deadlift total is 512 kilos, and he won a silver medal in the Asian Championships. And his mother, who is 68 years old, won 8 gold medals for India. We have so many of our members. One of our members who was on an oxygen mask because his oxygen levels were SpO2 levels were 48, 49. He started training with us, age more than 65, geriatric member, and after training now his oxygen levels are steady above 90 without the oxygen mask. Lost fat, gained muscle, is performing better, can move on his own, doesn't require any housing. I think these are successes that people should look for, and not owning a certain piece of jewelry or any materialistic thing. That is what I feel, because I think people are also getting it in the industry with the wrong ideals in mind. That I want to get into this industry because I want to earn so much. But you can earn so much in any industry. If a person is good at his or her job.
They do.
Correct. And if they love what they do, earning is there.
Yeah, but I would say that the return on investment in personal training field is a lot faster than any other. I would say that. Because the time that you invest plus the amount that you invest is not as much as engineering or MBA or doctorate and doctor for that matter. So what they need to understand is get here to follow your calling, passion, and be the best of the personal trainer that you can ever be. Not other thing that will follow. So Kaizzad never thought of owning K11. Kaizzad never thought of owning whatever he had as he would love. He just wanted to be best of the trainer. So he would call himself trainer, not even coach. He would say, I am a personal trainer. So that, Omkar, what you do to keep your knowledge updated? How you update your knowledge?
So when we look at our learning goals, we follow the PRE principle, where we can learn from people. For example, I did not know anything about accounts and data analysis and all of that. A friend of mine, very close friend of mine called as Ranjit Mendale, owns and runs a restaurant and in Pune, and he called me one day and he gave me and Divita both training for Excel.
Oh,
How to use Excel sheets. And then we realized that, this is how it is to be done. And he asked me to sit with me. He asked me to sit with him for a day, and he was managing work. When he was managing work, I realized that he got one page. That was a one-pager report. On that one page, he gets a view of the entire business. How many tables are running, what is happening in production, what is happening in sale, marketing, everything on one page. So that I learned from him. One more learning, as I said, Rohan has taught me a lot. Divita's father has taught me a lot. In his 35 years of career, he has not been late even once.
oh my God, that's an achievement.
Not even once.
That's an achievement.
Yeah, and he was working in the government sector. Never did corruption, stood against corruption, and was never late. Is a man of principles. I told so much that I got to learn from Kaizzad sir without him making me sit and teach. But he was just behaving a certain way, and I would learn.
We learn, yeah.
So from people, you get to learn so much. Then comes R. R is resources.
Yeah.
So resources could be books, podcasts. One of my favorite podcasts nowadays is Huberman Lab.
He's amazing.
There is David Goggins, who is a great speaker. There is Joe Rogan. So many more podcasts, and I am right now traveling or driving 3 hours a day because I am taking one training which is 20 kilometers from my house. But I said, why crib about traffic? Why not
Just
make
listen
this
to it.
experience a pleasurable experience? So every day I study for 2 hours because I am listening to podcasts and audiobooks for 2 hours. Then there are books, of course. I personally do not prefer digital books. I prefer hard books. I love the
Difficult to
smell
write.
and the feel of
Yeah.
the book. So that is one more. And E is from experiences. So like I said, body power, the master trainer's course, going to someone's gym or joining a company. All of these are experiences which will also teach a person a lot. So people, resources and experiences. This is very similar what we do to our OMFIT trainers also, or nutritionists also, that we then push them in that uncomfortable space, that go and do this, go and do that.
Andrew Huberman talks a lot about being uncomfortable in learning things. So
Correct.
But as a trainer, this you do as an entrepreneur, right? I mean, when you were a trainer or a freelancer, what was your apart from Kaizzad, because I know you're going to take his name, but what was did you do other courses, or did you do any other reading as such, or refer to keep because see, fitness science also evolves. Of course, K11 keeps evolving and keeps calling students back.
So sorry, remember, I'll interrupt you there.
Yeah.
One of the best things that I think that the school has is they have a limit to the knowledge depth. For example, if I want to study about the knee joint, I can study for one day or I can study it for 10 years.
Correct.
And it won't stop.
Correct.
On the internet, when you're learning on your own, you don't have that depth limiter. What K11 does is that for a fitness trainer, what is the depth to learn a certain subject, to command your knowledge and your growth on the gym floor?
Correct.
There is a limiter.
Right.
You set a limit and then you re-attend the course, and then you re-attend the course, and you re-attend the course. Because every time you re-attend the course, you get more examples, you get more analogies, you understand more on how to teach a certain subject. So I would just re-attend the lectures.
One very interesting thing that just came to my mind, because you're a student of physics, something that we are launching in next month, November month, is a workshop on torque.
Okay.
I would love you to attend it because you love physics. It will be So I will send you all the details.
Right.
That it just clicked me. Right.
So I would just re-attend courses, because as I said, it is not the human capacity to keep
absorb everything.
absorb
at one time.
100%. So every time you go through the K11 books, or every time you re-attend, you learn something more.
And if you were a student right now, so we have launched a lot of value-added workshops. Like you take one yourself. Would you attend that, and would you ask students to attend that because it will add value to them?
Absolutely, because learning should never stop. And that is one way to keep on upgrading yourself with the upgrading world.
So that was the thought behind launching this vertical, that, you know, so we said these are the courses, but now what? So that vertical was added, and thankfully it's taking a good shape.
Yeah.
So I still have that plan of having that knowledge, the channel
Council.
that we have actually not been actively taken ahead, but we'll soon start that.
Sure, man. Definitely.
So now you told me about how do you teach your staff, or I mean, the learning policies, but how do you hire, and specifically from the training point of view?
So when it comes to hiring, it's very simple for us. We always hire from K11, and reason being that one of the reasons why I think K11 certified professionals, students are so good is that the exam is so tough. So I would definitely give a lot of credit to your exam team, because what happens if a tough examination means that the person will have to study that to that level.
So, but earlier we didn't have good results in passing, but now, I mean, earlier means I'm talking way back. But the client or the type of prospects are also changing. So the passing percentage is beyond 70, 80 now. Means people. So it was 100 people have joined, 80 to pass. Earlier it was at 50. So the type of toughness or the level of
how tough the exam is
not
does not change.
But the kind of students that we are getting.
Correct. No, absolutely. Because when they have passed the exam, I think so 80% is the passing mark. 70%, which is much higher than other
formal education.
So they have to be in love with that subject, or need to understand that subject to a certain level. Also, what is required in the industry is both, I'm talking about personal training here, practical and theory, and you take both these exams. So it becomes easier for us companies to hire, because then once a student has passed a practical exam, it means that his or her form and technique is of a certain level. And this is again a teaching that I got from sir, that the best way to teach is to demonstrate. So if you just demonstrate bent over rows, the person gets it. But if you keep telling them tabletop position, you don't get it. But you demonstrate that, they immediately get that. Yeah, so in hiring, then that is one of the reasons why we choose.
What do you expect from K11 trainers that you're not getting right now? So the product knowledge is something that you get. Is there anything that you want us to work on, something that they should do before they come to you?
I think that this is again not, I think so, problem with K11, but this is just another side effect of using a lot of social media, that we have gotten into a habit of instantly getting results. So patience is something that we would really like to get from people, and I don't completely blame them also, because they are so much into social media and so much into getting quick gratification that becomes the way of life. Also, I think that when they come out of K11, they need to realize that until and unless they actually handle a member, they will never realize the dynamics of a problem.
Correct.
Because every member that they would handle is different. I also see that a lot of personal trainers later become or try to become counselors or psychological counselors.
Really?
Yes, Because
They have
what
not done
happens
any course.
exactly, but what happens is the trust that that particular person has on that trainer or the nutrition coach is so much
Understood.
that the person gets into a submissive position where he starts saying yes to everything that the trainer is saying,
Correct.
and then they cross their boundaries.
Right.
So something very similar happens with doctors also.
Yeah.
A lot of nutritionists would say that, you know what, for diabetes you don't need a doctor, stop your diabetes medications and just do this nutrition protocol that I'm saying. But that is not respecting boundaries, that is actually crossing boundaries. So that is something which I would really
Professional
like.
ethics.
Professional ethics. But on that level, I would definitely say that ethically, students coming out of K11 are a lot more ethics driven, and that I think drives down from Sir, you
Yeah.
and Mayur sir, and then it drives down. So definitely it helps.
Okay. Also, now something that I would like to ask, because I've been in that position, and so I've been K11 CEO because I've worked hard for it. Okay, it's not because there was a time that so I've been a CEO before, and then I married Kaizzad. So whenever I have gone for a meeting, so Kaizzad used to, and Kaizzad is the smartest human being I have ever seen in understanding human emotions. Okay, so first he would introduce me as my wife, because he was extremely proud of. Proud of me, and then he would say, and K11 CEO as well. But then people started taking me very lightly, because the whole thing about she's CEO because she's boss's wife, and that in 2-3 meetings I really had tears in my eyes when I came out. And he said, what happened? I said, they think I'm a CEO because I'm your wife. They don't talk to me, and they don't talk, and they don't they just look at you. And I said, I have put in hard work as much as you for K11. I said, entire administrative side, processes and everything. He said, babe, when I don't agree, I said, I am not talking about you. But he was so smart that in the next meeting, you know what he did? He said, she's K11 CEO and my wife. But that approach of him introducing like that changed their, approach towards me, which I noticed. And then I told him, I said, you are the, you know how to get it done. Now you have that person with you, Divita. Divita has been, involved in OMFIT from day one.
Yes.
So I'm not saying that she might be facing, but it's just my feelings that I was expressing about Kaizzad. So what do you think about having a compatible partner in your company as well as your life?
So
and what did she do? Actually, I want to know, what did she do in OMFIT?
So Divita is actually not just the backbone, but the entire skeleton of OMFIT.
Okay.
So she is the skeletal system of OMFIT, because the skills that she has are different than the skills that I have.
Correct.
And we did not realize this until we were a team of 10 people. Till we were a team of 10 people, it was completely driven by me. I was the HR, I was the everything for everyone.
Can you just take a hold on to that?
Sure.
Because I want to drive a point there. When I meet a lot of entrepreneurs, that's what they think, that I'll do it everything.
Correct.
And that's when I tell them you can't.
Yeah.
And you will have to have a partner.
Yeah.
So you're proving my point, what I was getting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought that I could do everything. One day I'm doing hiring, second day I'm doing marketing, third day I'm doing accounts, fourth day this, that. And Divita was always in a supportive role. So I would call the shots and then she would support me.
When did that change?
So that was until 2018-19 when she was working with another company. She was not full-time with OMFIT, she was in a supporting role. Then she came in the support. Then she came on a full-time role. Even then, I was the CEO. She was the COO, operations.
Yeah.
She would look and handle at operations. And something very similar to what you have faced, she also faced, where she was not taken seriously, or where people would like to, when she would give a certain judgment that this is how it has to be done, people would then again come to me.
Yeah, it is happened in K11 also.
Correct. And I think between us also, we used to carry our office problems at home
Of course.
and home problems at office. So I had come to you and sir
Yeah.
once and asked, and sir laughed and you also laughed. So, because at that time, but then you did. Actually, sir did not give me any advice on this. You did. You did mention that you need to clearly define your boundaries. That this is my role, that is your role. That is then what we started doing. And one more thing that happened with Divita is that when she started studying management, so she did a course from IIM Ahmedabad.
Yeah.
She did then one from Bangalore. Now she's doing one from Mumbai. And ISB. Now she's doing it from. That really got that confidence in her. Because then what happened, and yes, one more thing I must recommend here, must mention here, is that you told her that you need to know your product. So do the personal trainer's course. And she was like, if Omkar has already done the personal trainer's course, why should I do it? But when she did it, and she has yet not completed that, but the theory part, she got some another level of confidence.
Because you understand, no, what you
Correct. Also, empathy wise, she is a lot better than me.
Really?
Yes. And I have good empathy for members, but sometimes because I've been through those tough times, and when someone gives me an excuse,
You can't
I might
understand.
lose my
You
mind.
can't relate to it.
Correct. I have never shouted at anyone, but
I used to do that. I used to say, just take it light with them. I said, how can? If I could do it, they could do it. He said, no, you are not you're not using raucous dialogues here.
So she has the calmest mind, and she would handle a situation looking at it very objectively. She guides people in the office. A lot of people are much more comfortable talking to her than talking to me.
So
and
she really has become a skeletal
absolutely, she's become the skeleton where, and there is one more skill that I see in her, which is there a lot, that I don't know whether this is a gender-based thing or whether this is a skill that only she has, that her intuitions are a lot stronger. So she can see a problem coming. She has this gut feeling that maybe we should do this or that. Third is because I am doing two roles right now, where in the morning I am doing personal training and then I come to office. I kind of may get distracted sometimes, but she has one role to play, which is managing and leading the company. So she is a lot more consistent in a lot of things. Also, how parenting happens also makes a big impact, I think so. Her mom was a school teacher. So she has always been seeing her mom teach students. So that teaching ability is there. That reflects. That calmness reflects.
And understanding the student and
Correct.
explaining.
Correct. And she has been through the toughest times that I have had. She stood by me like a rock. And that is what helped OMFIT in every step of the way. There are still disagreements that we have, but now we handle them better.
No, but you know what I think? I mean, not I think, I am sure about it. Those disagreements will lead to a better decision for OMFIT.
True.
So I miss that the most right now, because I and Kaizzad used to argue like mad. Sometimes we have literally said, I don't want to talk to you because this. But what used to happen is, after that argument, something good used to come out for Kaler. Either I used to convince him or he used to convince me.
So true.
So, but that you require that. You can't say yes to everything that the partner is saying in any way. Any partner, I mean to say, your work partner, your life partner, your workout partner also. So, that one thing I would say, never ever stop. The arguments must happen between you two, because it's going to benefit your company.
So true.
And productive argument. I'm not talking about, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Not altu-faltu arguments. But a bigger decision, if it's taken unanimously, I would feel something, uneasy if there are no thoughts being thrown at me and say everybody says yes, I agree.
Yeah. So then, when we look in the organization, yes. A lot of disagreements do happen.
Yes.
But now we might have become a little more matured in handling those and in understanding that both of us need to have different thoughts.
You need to.
Correct.
110%.
Yes. And also I think the industry as a whole is also changing. Where earlier women leadership was not seen very well. Maybe you must have faced a lot of resistance around that. But now people are taking it well. Also, when I was leading the company, I am still the director, but she is the CEO now, so she is calling the shots. The revenues, the profitability, the numbers are better. So I think she is good at her tasks when it comes about management, and I am good at mine. And I am getting more and more involved in the teaching space, where I would help in upskilling trainers or nutritionists. I would be focused on content creation. I would be focused on doing more meetings or networking. I would be more focused on doing audits, etc.
And you can do that all freely and with a very calm mind, because you know that she's taking care of the company.
So true. So true. So it is like two sides of a coin.
Right.
That makes the whole coin. But I definitely feel that even with her, education had a big impact. Where if she would have not done the courses from IIM and all the courses that she did, she would not have the tools and which strategy, which tools, which concept to apply where. And she also did these courses when all of these courses had only women in it.
Oh.
So this IIM course that I'm talking about.
I just asked her yesterday or today, because I wanted to do that, and she had told me that, ma'am, try it, it's nice. So, and I lost all the details because somewhere it got lost. So I just asked her yesterday.
So these problems were there in the past. Now they are not there anymore. Everyone is pretty happy in the company, and it's not just her. I would really like to mention, as I had mentioned, right, there is Kedar now, Sahil now.
So that was my next question. But why I brought up this question, because I will come to that. But because a lot of new entrepreneurs doesn't think that they require a compatible partner with them, and it just burns them down as an entrepreneur. So that's the thing I was asking for. So now come to your team. So who are your team members that are with you since the beginning, or you would call them as a pillars of OMFIT?
True. So I always tell them that they have built OMFIT.
Yeah.
And they are owners now, like us. So then, as I mentioned, there is Shri, there is Shruti, Sahil, Kedar, Vishnu, and all of these are, they started their careers with OMFIT. They built OMFIT together, and you know what? All of them are such stable individuals and team members now. For example, Vishnu recently got married.
Yeah, I know. I saw the post.
And he's leading such a balanced, stable life. He's enjoying his trainings. Very, very similar with Kedar, as I said, huge transformation. He's supporting his family. Sahil and Shruti again got married, and they bought a house.
They got married to each other.
They got married to each other. Both of them in OMFIT. They bought a house. Shri is also supporting his family. So these are the things which then we pass on to other juniors also. That, hey, you know what? Maybe at some level only having a certain car or a bike is not the main goal.
No.
But supporting the family. I got a message just last month from one of our trainers named Atharva. Extremely hardworking fellow.
He is doing master trainer?
No.
He did master
trainer. No. He's done personal training. So he sent me a message that I am thankful to the company because I could gift my mom a new washing machine and a refrigerator and this whole kitchen setup. And these are such great moments. And you're doing this while making a positive difference in a customer or a member's life. So I think we have got the noblest of the professions that we have had.
Just that you need to be in that profession correctly.
So true.
So that's it. I think we have spoken a lot, and I mean, I'm very happy while doing this podcast. I thought I'm going to get emotional and going to start crying, but thankfully it's not happened. And we have got a lot of experiences from Omkar which we would be sharing, and we would divide it into section wise, so whoever wants to hear it can hear them well. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
ma'am, for having me here.
Anytime.
As I said again, student for life and a student for K11 always. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.